was a Wednesday morning. I was getting ready for work, leaning over my counter, putting my mascara on in the mirror, when my 13-year-old daughter appeared behind me and I could see her in the mirror. As I turned around, her mascara was pouring down her face. She had been crying. I turned around, "What's the matter? What's wrong?" And she looked at me and she said, "I can't take it anymore. I can't feel this way anymore. All I want to do is die." I gave her the biggest hug. I was terrified for her. I was terrified for myself. How was I going to fix this? What was I going to do? I poured out as much love as I could in that moment. And then as we stepped away from that embrace, she pulled her shirt up, and all over her shirt was at least 50 slices, bleeding. She had been up all night, where she had deconstructed the razor from her shower and was cutting her stomach, trying to feel a different kind of pain than the pain that she was feeling inside her heart. I immediately went into doctor mode, looked at her stomach to make sure there was no urgent, emergent need to take care of anything that was bleeding. And then I said, "We have to take you to the hospital now. We have to get you help." I had no idea that she was feeling the way that she was feeling, and it came to this point. We got in the car. I had 3 other kids that morning to take to school. I couldn't turn the 911 headlights on, but I had to drop off those kids, and then we drove to the emergency room, and we walked into this beautiful atrium and followed the signs to the front desk. And the lady at the front desk said, "How can I help you?" In front of all these people, I leaned forward and I said, "My daughter's suicidal." And she looked at me, she handed me a clipboard and said, "Please go sit over there and fill out these forms. We'll be with you in a moment." We sat down, we filled out the forms, I brought them back. Shortly after we were called to the back, we went to the triage room. "What are you here today? Why are you here today?" "My daughter's suicidal." We were taken to the next room. The nurse walked in. "Why are you here today?" "My daughter's suicidal." The doctor came in the room. "How can I help you today?" "My daughter's suicidal." 7 times I had to say those words. We were in the emergency room for 6 hours. The child psychiatrist came in, asked the same question again, asked several more questions about how she was feeling, and every time Maddie was asked the question, "Do you want to kill yourself?" she said yes. This experience didn't change her mind. She very much felt this way, and he looked at me and he said, "If she continues to say yes to this question, I have no other choice but to admit her to the hospital." And I said, "That's why we're here. I don't know how to help her. She needs help." Although we were there for 6 hours, in the next 10 minutes, they moved very quickly. We were told that Maddie was going to be admitted to the 3 Rivers Behavioral Health Center. That was 2.5 hours away from our house. And she was going to be transported there because I was not allowed to drive her there. Officer Mike came in the room with his shiny badge, a smile on his face, and he said, "Hey, I'm Officer Mike. I'm your ride." And he proceeded to take a Velcro belt and put it around Maddie's waist. He put 2 Velcro straps around her wrist and attached those to her waist, a modern-day straitjacket. She couldn't move. She couldn't wiggle herself around. Obviously, they don't want her to be able to grab anything or do anything where she could harm herself. I understand. This was a 13-year-old who was just asking for help. He started to escort her out of the room. I didn't realize it was time to go. So I'm a step behind because I had to grab my bag and her things and follow behind them. We wove our way through the maze of the emergency department back into the beautiful atrium where all these people were waiting as my daughter was escorted by her policemen outside. I was steps away behind, and the last thing I saw as I was able to get out the door was Officer Mike nicely placing his hand on the back of Maddie's head to help her get into the back of a police car. And I watched as her red, beautiful hair got smaller and smaller till I couldn't see it anymore as they drove away. I didn't get to hug her. I didn't get to say goodbye. I didn't get to tell her it was going to be okay. I didn't get to say I love you. That was a terrifying moment for me. I can't imagine how she felt sitting in the back of that police car where she had asked for help, and now she was a criminal in a straitjacket in the back of a police car with no idea what was going to happen to her. I'm happy to say that was 6 years ago, and Maddie's here. She's alive. She's finding her way in the world. And she and I wrote a book to share our story called Why Can't She See Me? And we want to know, we want to share our story because I don't want any other parent to experience what I experienced, or even worse, the loss of their child to suicide. I don't want another kid or teenager to have the feelings that they feel and not know how to ask for help, where to go, what to do or say. In the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, if one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to have succeeded. All right.